Mario Kart.
So Mario Kart has been around since 1992 and has had an iteration on each handheld and console since. I was curious to see how much the franchise has changed after 30 years of the original release on the SNES. I will be playing through every game excluding the arcade and home circuit versions, starting with Super Mario Kart. Super Mario Kart was groundbreaking for the time, but looking at it now, it's difficult to go back to. The graphics and pixels in the background were quite nauseating, and the controls just don't hold up. Try drifting and you will go right off the track. That is, if you can even figure out what part is the track. I respect it for the road it paved, but I have no interest in playing it again. Alright, so going straight from Super Mario Kart 64 is miles ahead from the previous game, and that's not being biased just because it's the first Mario Kart game I ever played. The graphics are absolutely incredible considering the N64 is right after the SNES. The maps are still being praised today, and while the controls still aren't as refined, they are still much more responsive. The drifting actually works, what do you know? I still have my gripes as far as the rubber banding problem, which is probably the worst out of any of the franchise. The computers would constantly drive off the map and then pass me seconds later. And I don't remember spending 6 minutes on Rainbow Road, it felt so much shorter as a kid. Overall though, it's still a game worth going back to now and again. So I might get some hate from fans here, but if I was ranking Mario Kart Super Circuit, I would put it right above Super Mario Kart. While the controls are actually great, I'm just not a fan of the style of Mario Kart. Again, I understand they were limited by the hardware and the graphics themselves, but it makes me sick to look at and it kind of ruins the enjoyment for me. If that wasn't the case, I can say this game was actually decent and provided a nice challenge. As with every new Mario Kart Double Dash has several new features including characters, items, kart customization, and the ability to race and swap between two characters on a single kart. Making for a completely different playstyle, you now have the ability to hold two items, one per character, and can swap between them and use them in any order, as well as using the other racer to counterbalance your drifts. Each character now has their own specialty items, and unlike the previous games, I played through every map because I just couldn't help it. I wanted to experience them all. Sadly, there are only 16 courses total, but I still cannot recommend Double Dash enough. Mario Kart DS is a personal favorite of mine, and just a ton of fun. The courses are great, some of the best in the series, and there's twice as many as the amount seen in Double Dash. The drifting and controls are just how I like them, polished. Since the DS has two screens, you can view the map and other racers. You can see which items everyone has, where they left them, and if they're coming your way, giving you the upper hand to strategize. This game includes a mission mode, which added extra content to the game, as well as a feature to play a select few maps and battle mode with anyone who had a DS, without even have owned the game. Waluigi Pinball is still the best Mario Kart map, try to change my mind. Motion controls, the Wii Will adapter, and not being old enough to drive as a kid made this game amazing, unless you had siblings to fight over who got dibs. While I prefer just using the controller normally, motion controls worked just as well and made the game more fun and popular in my opinion. Bikes were introduced, we got great courses like Coconut Mall, and my boy King Boo made his return. But honestly, looking back, the game isn't all that fun or as great as I remember. I felt like some of the tracks dragged on due to sections with nothing really going on. I think the art style in Double Dash was a lot better and aged more gracefully. Motion controls seemed to be the main gimmick while the courses were a hard second. Still, I occasionally bust out the Wii when I'm tired of Mario Kart 8 and want something a little different. Now, this game surprised me. It's kinda odd though that Mario Kart 7 was on a handheld and not just named Mario Kart 3DS. However, it did earn the title. Not only are the graphics, courses, and controls fantastic, it influenced the most recent games with gliders, underwater sections that change gravity physics, and better kart customization. I never hear anyone talking about this game and I think it's very underrated, and is the best true portable game out of the series. It still gives that handheld, not home console Mario Kart experience though, but definitely deserves its recognition. After going through every game, my jaw genuinely dropped when realizing how great Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is. The graphics and soundtrack are the best out of the series. And before the current DLC, we had 48 courses, which will soon reach 96. 96 courses in a single Mario game, that's crazy. The character roster is currently expanding as well, with a total of 43 to choose from, and 48 in the near future. The kart customization has the most depth out of any we have seen. different combinations affect stats, it changes all depending on the character you choose. Zero Gravity gives a new spin on retro tracks, and I have a new appreciation of the game after seeing the evolution of the series. And finally, we have Mario Kart World Tour. Before the game released, I was so hyped to play Mario Kart on my phone, and I'm sure everyone else was, until it came out and I actually played it. Well, it could be great. It's sadly held back from some poor decisions though, and the main one being the controls. They just aren't great, and what's worse is there's no controller support. I have the backbone for iOS, and this could possibly pique my interest. I mean, maybe in the near future. I do appreciate the constant updates, but I can't make a comment on the Battle Pass or unlocking any of the characters. I just haven't put enough time in, and I will not do so. Overall, after playing Super Mario Kart all the way to 8 Deluxe, I can happily say I'm satisfied with how the current games have ended up. And it's no doubt that 8 is the best of the series, still keeping its respect for the older games. I love that they continue to make new courses and revamp the older ones that different generations of fans love. This is a game for a non-gamer who can just pick up and enjoy. I'm excited to see what the future holds on Nintendo's next console, and I would love to hear what you want to see in the next Mario Kart game in the comments.